I am a huge guy.
And Enrique Alvarez Clary.
C is for chunk.
Brought to you by Empire Fence and Netting on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome in. Happy Friday. This is the Happy Hour. 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Nick Sainert, Austin Orman with you. Rico is back on Monday, so Austin will be off the hook from covering on the Happy Hour starting next week. Hello, Austin.
Hi, Nick.
How's the day?
Great.
Anything exciting happening this weekend for you?
This weekend. No.
Just
Not I'm
chilling.
planning on.
Just a little relaxing.
Gonna see if I can get out of the house, go to the open practice tomorrow.
Yeah. There you go.
We'll see. That's about it in terms of
Watch
excitement.
some
I
baseball?
read at church on Sunday.
Okay.
How about that?
How about that? A little baseball action, I'm sure.
Oh,
Gonna
yeah.
be watching some Royals
Watch
ball.
Bob and the boys.
Bob and the boys.
It was
There you
Vinny's
have
show last night, though.
Was it? I need to
2
do
homers.
I need to
4
do
RBI.
I need to do a better job of like just keeping tabs on everybody. I don't know. Anyway,
There are 30 teams.
there are
So
30
that's
teams.
a lot.
Plus the one that only matters the most is the Chicago Cubs. As always, 402-464-5685 Honda Lincoln Hotline. The Starter Heyman text line are both open for you guys the entire show today, as well as the Starter Heyman Jewelers live video stream, Facebook, YouTube, Allo Channel 961, as well as Twitter. You can always follow myself or Austin on Twitter, Nick_Sainert at Austin_Orman as well. Pretty easy to find. All you got to do is type our names and you can hang out with us over there in the X world. We got a lot of stuff to get to today. You might have heard it yesterday in the baseball world. Mike Trout's season is over. He was making a rehab stint down in the minors, and he had another setback, and it shows that he tore his meniscus again. And so he's going to be done for the year. We'll kind of dive into that because it builds perfectly off the conversation we had earlier in the week about Bobby Witt and how the Royals can't allow, from an organizational standpoint, Bobby Witt to become the next Mike Trout. But from a personal athlete standpoint, Bobby Witt can't allow himself to become the next Mike Trout. And we'll get into that later on in the show. To start, though, we've had a pretty extensive press conference day over at Memorial Stadium. It was initially scheduled to start around 10:30, didn't get going until about 11. The two coaches, Glenn Thomas, the quarterback's coach, and co-offensive coordinator, spoke along with Donovan Raiola, Nebraska's offensive line coach, earlier today. They were done by probably 11:30, 11:35, if not a little bit earlier than that. And it took up until about 12:40 for the quarterbacks to start coming and heading to the podium. And so we heard from all three, the three big ones, I should say. And Heinrich Harburg, Daniel Kalin, and Dylan Raiola is still currently speaking on the podium right now. We have some thoughts from Glenn Thomas. I know Austin and I both, surprisingly enough, I was listening to it back at my desk in the back of our station here. Austin was up in our production studio listening to it. And we came together right before the show, and we both had the same thought about one of the quarterbacks. So we'll get to that here in just a few moments. So once again, 402-464-5685, all that and more coming up on the show today. Obviously, quarterback is going to be a big talking point all season long. I wonder, they tried to get an answer out of Glenn Thomas earlier today about, hey, what's a timeline for you to potentially evaluate quarterback roles, and essentially it's in layman's term, when are you going to name the starter? And basically he didn't give much, but this is what Nebraska quarterbacks coach and co-offensive coordinator Glenn Thomas had to say.
Say every day is a measurement. I wouldn't necessarily give you a timeline, but every day we're definitely measuring, trying to get those quantitative measures, whether it be completion percentage, mental errors, low, so forth at every position. So, we're in the early processes of that as far as final decisions, but every day is definitely a measurement, and we're trying to, touch all those details as we go.
So there you have it. Not expecting a whole lot in day 3 of fall camp, and who knows? Husker fans are going to get to see if you chose to buy tickets to the open practice tomorrow. Who knows? Maybe you'll get to see somebody get some more snaps. In comparison to the other quarterbacks. However, Austin, and this is where I want to get your thoughts on this. I mean, how long do you think they take this up to? Because I think if you ask a lot of Nebraska fans, it's okay, just name them now. Just like, dude, you know that probably Raiola has the upper hand. I think there's also something to be said about the staff just loves Heinrich Harburg. They do. And they're very open and vocal about it. I also don't know if I should say this. Let me phrase it this way. He was the guy that took them to a 5-3 record last year. He was also a guy that, unfortunately, because of various reasons, whether it was turnover issues, whether it was maybe he was banged up and injured later in the season, Nebraska still finished the season 5-7. It doesn't leave a great taste in your mouth, but he's the most experienced guy in the room that they have.
I think this plays out all the way till the Thursday or Friday, pre-UTEP press conference, if not longer, because of the stylistic difference, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully Nebraska is in a place that it doesn't matter if UTEP knows who the starting quarterback is or not. Nebraska should just be better. Colorado maybe needs some gamesmanship after last year. Northern Iowa better not care. But for the rest of the teams on the schedule, they've started their Nebraska prep. They've done it during the summer. All they have is tape on Heinrich Harburg, so that's what they're preparing on. But they're still going back and watching, Dylan's high school tape as best they can. And a lot of Marcus Satterfield, too. I wouldn't be surprised if they're watching some, Satterfield, Spencer Rattler tape to try to get an idea of what Nebraska might do with Dylan Raiola. The longer you can keep these teams guessing, probably the better. I think that gamesmanship will always be there in college athletics. If it was Raiola versus Kalen, it would be as soon as one of these guys, has a week or two advantage on the other in terms of progressions and good, because they're similar stylistically, you're not giving as much away. But if you commit to a starter that, is the quote unquote pocket passer versus the dual threat guy, that tells teams what they need to tailor their game plan toward. The only way I see a starter being named before, game week, if not game day, is unfortunate injury circumstance, or it is so clear and obvious that it's not doing any good in holding back. And as always, the team will know before the public knows.
Yeah.
So if you can trust the team to, keep it under wraps for a while, maybe you hold off on that decision. But if reports start coming out about just how obvious it is that one guy is better than the other, it doesn't really do any good to hold that information back.
Well, and I suppose to a certain extent, you could claim that if there's no decision made up until the game time, and publicly that is, I guess you could phrase that as a positive thing, right? Because it somewhat speaks to the depth of Nebraska's quarterback room. I mean, we've talked about it quite a bit and exhausted the conversation at times regarding the drop off between QB1 in years past and QB 2, 3, 4. It's truly felt like QB1 has kind of just been on an island of his own, and the rest had been on their own island of like, yeah, they do one thing really okay, and the rest is kind of just lacking behind. And I mean, Matt Rule's pretty vocal, pretty transparent about a lot of things. And one thing that he was pretty transparent about last week in Indianapolis, as I was standing a few feet away from him, is that, hey, you know what? When you take that hit in November on the road at Wisconsin, it's going to shake you up a little bit different than the one against UTEP on August 31st. And you're probably going to need another quarterback or a couple other quarterbacks that will be able to kind of slide right in there smoothly. That's why I'm really intrigued by like how much we're able to tell the Glenn Thomas effect this year. And I say that in a way of not directing it at Marcus Satterfield and saying that, hey, this is all your fault, that the quarterback situation was so poor last year at times. And when I say that, because the turnovers were such a bad issue and Nebraska's offense struggled immensely to just consistently move the ball more than 20 yards on a drive. So I say that not that in the frame of Heinrich Harburg can't do it this year. We just didn't see it last year.
Right. And let's not forget that Marcus Satterfield wasn't playing A at the quarterback coach position.
That's exactly my point.
He was playing A for offensive coordinator, but he was supposed to coach tight ends, right? But then Nebraska couldn't get Jake Peets, is that the name?
There were a couple names floated out.
To come be quarterback's coach. So Marcus Satterfield took that role. They hired Wager from Texas. Everything goes down. Josh Martin elevated. We get that. It's not a shot to Marcus Satterfield, but you combine the fact that he wasn't playing A at quarterback with what he was working with last year. Did he get the best out of any of those guys? No. Did he coach the worst into them? Absolutely not.
No.
Right. It's the nature of the quarterback position, the offensive coordinator and coach position, is that, there's always going to be more blame assigned than credit, especially in a season where for the 7th straight year, Nebraska doesn't qualify for a bowl game. And that position was responsible for a lot of that. Not single-handedly, but certainly involved in plenty of the mishaps. So
as much as the defense is involved in the minus 17 turnover margin, so is the offense. And so is that quarterback position. As you look at obviously one of the bigger leaders of that offense, a name that's been floated out a lot today throughout the press conferences has been the transfer from Northwestern College, Jalen Gramstad. Gramstad obviously is part of that 120. Glenn Thomas kind of snuck that in there under the radar. Is that they have 5 guys on part of that 120 roster makeup. The 6th guy, Luke Longville, not included as of right now, but Bodie Sukup, Jalen Gramstad, and then the 3 other ones that we've already talked about, Heinrich Harburg, Dylan Raiola, and Daniel Caitlin. Jalen Gramstad, though, provides a lot of experience in a room that features 2 really talented recruits, sure, but also another quarterback that's been here a few years, maybe not still learning how to take the reins of a program, because also, once again, remember his role last year prior to when Jeff Sims went downhill was that he wasn't going to be the guy in that room. And so there's also that to just kind of continue to keep in mind. Here's what Glenn Thomas, the quarterback's coach, had to say on Jalen Gramstad.
As much as anything, it's just the experience in the room. He's obviously had success at his other stop, and that success, it gives him credibility in our room and that experience. So, he's got a great personality, great character. He's humble. He just wants to fit in and help in any way he can. He wants to be a coach, so he's kind of has that unique perspective of learning the big picture, which I really appreciate. Garrett McGuire was kind of like that when I coached him at Baylor. Man, he was a awesome asset to me as far as that perspective of helping the quarterback, maybe a little different voice. So you love those the quarterbacks, that want to be coaches and give that unique perspective. So it's really nice. And then from a skill set standpoint, he's got really nice arm talent. He's athletic with his feet, can make some plays off schedule, whether it be run game or pass game. So I think he brings a nice skill set to us even on the field for sure.
So once again, that's Jalen Gramstad, listed on the Northwestern Red Raiders College website, 6 foot, just around 200 pounds or so, for the Northwestern College Red Raiders. One of the pictures, though, it has them playing in basically a blizzard, so that's pretty interesting there. He's playing against the teams like Morningside, Dakota Westland, Concordia, Mount Marty, some of those notable colleges that maybe people around here are aware of. I would say this. Certainly going to provide some of an experience piece to that quarterback room. This is a guy that, yes, at that level threw for 3,600 yards and 35 touchdowns, while one of the big focus points all season or all off season has been not to turn over the ball. 9 interceptions last year. It's not a great ratio, but it's certainly better than what Nebraska quarterbacks have had the last few seasons.
It really is. And if that's his role on the team, I think that's what it sounds like he's been doing so far, right? Everyone that's talked has referenced him as a great sounding board. The experience, it's not the same level of college football, but it's still college football. He's played at this level. He's seen different defensive schemes. He's gone through progressions, right? He's not just a one-read, quick passing offense sort of guy. He knows what to look for in a defense. Football is football, regardless of the level. So it sounds like regardless of what his role is on the field, he's pushing the guys. He's making smart decisions so far throughout camp, and he's been a valuable resource for these, younger quarterbacks with less experience and fewer game reps.
I think you look up and down this quarterback room, and there's intriguing pieces, right? So once again, if you're just now joining us, it was a pretty eventful day. I would assume that Dylan Raiola's done at the podium by now. Who knows? Maybe he's still there for about 15, 20 minutes or so going on now. But we heard from Glenn Thomas, Donovan Raiola today. There's not a whole lot to gather from Donovan Raiola. Not a great, not great at expanding on thoughts. Very just short, quick, to the point, which can be a positive and okay thing when you're in, coaching it at this level, because Nebraska's offensive line, I would say that for the first time in, maybe 5 years or so, they don't really have a whole lot of question marks on the offensive line. The bodies, a lot about them already. It's just kind of, okay, at a place like on the left side, is it Turner Corcoran or is it Teddy Prohaska, right? So there's those types of conversations that are made, but you also know a decent amount about those guys, especially Turner Corcoran out of the state of Kansas.
Turner Corcoran was a guy that Strick and I talked about yesterday. I kind of feel like he's in his Bryce Benhart moment before last year.
Mm-hmm.
We know what you have been. Is there anything more in you? And I don't think it's going to be there playing left tackle. I know that's what he was recruited to Nebraska to do. And that's not to say I'm so sold on Teddy Prohaska as left tackle one.
Yeah.
But I think Turner Corcoran needs to move inside.
Yeah.
Put him a guard, teach him guard, have him lock that position down. It sounds like Micah Mazuka on the right side is stepping up into that right guard role. Does that kick Justin Evans over to left guard? Is he that swing guy, center guard? Does Corcoran compete inside? I like that there's competition between those two guys at left tackle. Well, I like there's competition at left tackle. I don't know if I love that there's competition between those two guys you mentioned at left tackle.
Yeah, I don't know. I would say the sizes of some of these guys at their positions are intriguing, right? Like the 6'6" at the tackle position isn't necessarily bad, but it's also there's no medium. There's no middle road with Nebraska's left tackles at times, because it's either 6'6" with Turner Corcoran or all the way jumping up to 6'10" with Teddy Prohaska. And you throw in the fact of the last couple of seasons that both of those guys have just struggled to stay healthy and struggled to be available for you over the last couple of seasons. And so it makes you a little concerned when you're talking about protecting your quarterback's blind spot.
And to be fair, 6'6" is a little tall for an inside position, but other staffs have talked about moving him to center.
Yes.
So if other staff saw it, I would think this staff would at least give it a look, right? They want to find guys a position where they can succeed at. They must think left tackle is his position more so than inside. And if that's what they think, all right, more power to him.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, it's a good thing when discussing the offensive line. You do have Ben Scott, and Ben Scott returns. There weren't a whole lot of snapping issues last year. A lot of the issues offensively came after the quarterback either caught the snap, grabbed it from underneath the butt, or caught it in the gun. And so they talked about that. Glenn Thomas talked about, I guess we can play one more here from Nebraska's quarterbacks coach about just what are the metrics that you use when evaluating a quarterback. It's a quick 20-second answer or so, but he kind of just lays out that it's a daily thing. And here's what we look for in Nebraska quarterback Glenn Thomas.
I think those are the big ones with the quarterback specifically. We're talking about ball security. That's a huge component as far as what we're trying to get done. We're talking about execution, right? Physicality. Those are all things that we're talking about. But, you're talking about with the quarterback specifically, the execution, right? That's the guy that's hopefully going to be out on the field. It's going to give us a chance to execute and make plays with the component of ball security.
There's a lot of execution pieces in there. And last year, I suppose, Glenn Thomas can see this when watching last year's film. I'm Marcus Satterfield, certainly not naive, and neither is Matt Rule. Heck, Nebraska fans aren't naive to the fact that Nebraska just struggled endlessly and relentlessly last year on the offensive side of the ball, and that in turn hurt their defense at times and put them in some inopportune situations to make a play, and a lot of times they did. So we'll see what happens this year. Matt Rule talked about it multiple times over the last couple of weeks, that it's a thing that works together, where the defense needs to take away more footballs and the offense needs to stop giving away so many footballs throughout the course of the season. And once you do that, then you're talking about a much more normal looking turnover margin, whether that's either minus by a few or plus in anything in the plus category. I think Nebraska fans would be happy with, because you hope that we're sitting here at the end of December talking about a Nebraska bowl game opportunity, whether they won or lost. But that means that they had over six or more wins, number one. And number two, most of the time that means that we can talk about a positive change in the turnover margin, because there is no way that Nebraska, if they are minus 10 or more in the turnover margin this year, can expect to really make a jump in the right direction.
Does Nebraska need to be positive to make a bowl game in turnover margin? Or how far can Nebraska go in the negative and still make a bowl game? Is minus 10 good enough for a bowl game? Not a great one, but does minus 10 get you to 6-6?
So here we can look this up. Let me get onto the right website here, because I can look this up because I don't want to misquote anybody here. Okay, so turnover margin, if I can just find it. There we go. So in the country, turnover margin, Nebraska was 132nd with minus 17. The only team worse than them was the Temple Owls at minus 20.
Well, irony.
Yeah, right. Minus 20 last year. They were almost averaging minus 2 per game, which is pretty remarkable. Some of the notable teams at the bottom, you had Iowa was -7 last year. But really in just college football, and this is obviously an FBS, but in college football, it's jumbled right around -1, -2, varying from that to +2, really. I mean, so you're going to have +2 starting at 49th in the country, and -2 leaves you at 88th in the country. I mean, so that's kind of like right in the middle there.
Mm-hmm.
But with that, then you have the extremes, right? To where there's not very many teams. There were only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There were only 8 teams last year in all of college football that finished with a -5 turnover margin, which doesn't feel like a whole lot.
How many went +5?
Or excuse me, yeah, -3.
-3. That's even crazier.
How many went +3? 1,
Yeah.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. So you have 8.
So you're really
going
to live there in the middle.
That's where you need to live if you're Nebraska.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be this dramatic number
Mm-mm.
of +12. It
Mhm.
just can't be this dramatic number of frankly, 5 or more.
Right.
Like a handful or more. Some of the teams that, I mean, you look at, I'd have to look all these up just to remind myself. I mean, Cincinnati was -4.
3-9.
Stanford was -4.
Bad.
Utah State -5. UTSA -5. Colorado State -5.
Frisky.
Pittsburgh was -5.
Yeah.
Florida was -5. Wake Forest had that drop off. They were -6. Michigan State was -6. Iowa really is the outlier. Shocker that they were at -7 and still had a pretty successful season.
Which tells you just how putrid that offense was. That the defense, known for takeaways, created its fair share, and the offense still turned it over more.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's crazy is, and then you look at, we can do this on the other side, in the positive side of things, where the positive 4 teams, you have a team like Maryland that made a bowl game. You have teams like South Carolina at +3, Western Kentucky even at +3. And yes, different level of football, but even the Georgia Bulldogs were just +3 last year. It's not like you have to be all the way up where Michigan was at +19 to really give yourself a chance in a lot of games. It is pretty remarkable. You look at the top, 3 teams on this list in turnover margin, and I hope we're not making too big of a deal out of this, but it's Michigan, Penn State, and Northwestern in that order. Michigan with +19, Penn State at +16, and then Northwestern at +13.
Run game. Aggressive, solid defense.
Well, to that point, Navy is 4th at +11.
That's at least the run game on offense. The defense I can't speak nearly as much to, but it's not shocking that Big Ten teams that won some close games, were competitive, and others had a positive turnover margin like they did. Michigan, probably the least surprising of that, given the way they played. Penn State with 2 stud running backs. Didn't seem like they trusted Drew Aller at times last year. The Northwestern, just Northwesterning. I would have thought they would have been lower with Sullivan at quarterback, but apparently that's a better get for Iowa out of the transfer portal than I would have thought.
So just some interesting numbers. Obviously, they start to even out. There's 4 teams that were +9. Colorado was +9. Bowling Green, NC State, and Fresno State were +9. A lot of the Power 5 teams, though, you'll see, like Texas was +6. North Carolina was +5. Rutgers was +5. A lot of the Power 5 teams that are somewhat successful outside of Michigan, really, they're right around the minus, if you wanted to go on one side, it'd be like the -3 in turnover margin to +4, +3 or 4 on turnover margin. So, to Mississippi Mud Dog on the text line, their point, go look at the numbers for a reference point on what it might take to make a bowl. Obviously, there's a lot of other factors in this, but in all reality, Nebraska, like in year 2 of Matt Rule and in year 1 of what we expect to be Dylan Raiola's career at Nebraska, doesn't have to be this dramatic shift of, wow, from 2023 to 2024, Nebraska is in 2024 +9. Wow, think about the +28 over the span of just one offseason and quarterback change. It doesn't have to be that. It can be something, even if, and yes, it's not great to say, to quantify this as successful when statistically it'd be a failure when you're -3. you could still look at that as going, wow, from the adjustments from 2023 to 2024, we made up 14 turnovers.
Well, and -3 is within that kind of normal range,
Yes.
right? You said that the teams 40 through 80, whatever, are all within,
You're
within 6 turnovers of each other.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's a normal realm. That's a normal range for college football teams to be. That puts you in bowl contention, probably bowl eligibility. And then that's just the first step, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you get up from, -17 to -3, get up to even next year, right? With another year of learning and security. But if you keep it in that plus or -3, obviously you want to go more to the plus if possible. But if you keep it in that range, generally speaking, you'll be a normal college football team winning and losing games like normal, not like Nebraska has.
Let's put a pin there. Step aside. We'll come right back. When we come back, we might wrap up this conversation, get some audio clips from Dylan Raiola, Daniel Kaelin. We didn't get to talk about Daniel Kaelin. I think we might push the Mike Trout conversation to the spillover. Maybe put a bow on the press conference thoughts from earlier today over at Memorial Stadium. We'll do that when we come back. 402-464-5685. The Honda of Lincoln hotline and the Starter Heyman text line are open for you guys as always, as well as the Starter Heyman Jewelers live video stream, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Allo Channel 961. You can always follow myself and Austin on the X World, Nick_Sainert, and at Austin_Orman. We'll step aside, come right back, continue Friday's show after this on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Follow Nick and Enrique on Twitter at Nick_Sainert and at Radio Rico AC. More of Happy Hour is next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Shopping for new flooring is different today. Getting your questions answered, making the right selection, getting the best value, and installed quickly and professionally. Visit OStreetCarpet.com or shop our store. We'll answer all your questions and help you make the right choice. You'll be enjoying your new floor in just days for less than you'd pay elsewhere. Carpet, vinyl, wood, laminate, tile, and area rugs. We've got it all.
O Street Carpet.
1732 O Street. Family owned and operated. Always the best value.
With the Planet Fitness Black Card, you don't just get a great workout, you get a great perk out because your membership is packed with perks. For $1 down and $24.99 a month, you'll get perks like access to any of our 2,400 clean and spacious locations. Bring a friend anytime and both work out with tons of equipment that'll give you that big fitness energy. Relax in the Black Card spa and more. Work out and perk out with the PF Black Card. Join for just $1 down and $24.99 a month. Hurry,
This deal ends soon.
see Home Club for details.
The weather is hot, the kids are out of school, and you're on your way to the lake and summer road trips. Are you getting to your vacation spot comfortably, or is your car letting you down? Mullen Motors Lot is full of great vehicles to take home, so you don't have to worry about your current car barely surviving another road trip. Come check out their lot just north of 48th and Layton and find your next ride for summer road trips and beyond. Mullen Motors.
No tag-ons, just quality vehicles. Mullen Motors.
Ironhide Construction is a Nebraska-based general contracting and steel construction firm. Their expert team is experienced in building innovative construction solutions across several industries. While they were previously known for their extensive experience in steel erection and metal buildings, they've continued to evolve over the last several years into a full-service general contracting firm. They take pride in their commitment to quality, cutting-edge technology, and having a passion for what they do. For more information about their services or to discuss an upcoming project, visit www.ironhideconstruction.com or call 402-420-4961.
Last year, Linked Literacy's first annual Word Stock event welcomed 600 people to this community-wide book swap at Antelope Park. It was made possible by the generosity of our donors. Donations are needed for this year's event on August 24th to provide food trucks, table rentals, book bags, and more. This allows us to offer free books to the public for both kids and adults while enjoying all the fun and festivities to promote community connections. Give today by going to linktoliteracy.org. You'll be making an impact through the power of literacy.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with a child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
Does it seem like your clothes dryer doesn't dry like it used to? It may not be your dryer. It may be your dryer vent. When the vent becomes obstructed, it drastically reduces the efficiency of your dryer. Even worse, it can be a fire hazard. Here's the simple solution. Call Bryant. Bryant will thoroughly clean the vent and show you the before and after results. Call 467-1111. Keep your dryer operating efficiently and your home safe. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. We do whatever it takes.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
Play ball!
Tired of the same old routine? Then bring your crew out to Haymarket Park for a thrilling season of Lincoln Salt Dogs baseball and unleash the fun. Enjoy action-packed home games all week long from May through August. It's the perfect change-up to the typical family night or makes for a home run outing with friends and coworkers. Experience the magic and get in on the excitement. Visit saltdogs.com to secure your tickets now. Unleash the fun.
HealthLink is elevating the human experience with holistic health, weight loss, nutrition, fitness, and wellness solutions. They offer one-on-one health coaching while personalizing nutrition and wellness plans for structure and simplicity. HealthLink provides nutritious foods such as high-protein entrees, meal replacement snacks, and supplements. But that's not all. If you mention 93.7 The Ticket, you'll get a 5% discount on your order and $20 off your first month if you start a HealthLink subscription. Find your missing link with HealthLink today on the southeast corner of 70th and Pioneers or by phone at 402-858-9356. A career in broadcasting is rewarding and exciting. Local broadcasters make a difference in people's lives every day. Join our industry. Attend the 93.7 The Ticket Lincoln Area Broadcasters Career Fair Tuesday, August 6th at the Embassy Suites in Lincoln. Whether you want to be on the air or behind the scenes, many exciting jobs are available right here in Lincoln. Visit our booth at the 93.7 The Ticket Lincoln Area Broadcasters Job Fair Tuesday, August 6th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Embassy Suites in Lincoln. Rosie Sports Bar and Grill. Open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road.
You're listening to the Happy Hour with Nick Sainert.
Even before you start. That was a preemptive shh.
And Enrique Alvarez Clary.
I already had someone created in my image. He's evil, he wants to take over the world, and he fits easily into most overhead storage bins.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back into the show. Happy Hour 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Nick Sainert and Austin Orman with you. Rico back on Monday after a week off. Appreciate Empire Fence Netting for their support of the show. As always, 402-464-5685, the Honda of Lincoln hotline and the Starter Heyman text line are open for you guys the rest of the way here. Just want to put a bow on the quarterback conversation. Somebody that really impressed us at the podium today was Daniel Kaelin, Austin. I think is in a very unique situation, not necessarily because he might be lower on the depth chart, because there's a lot of those guys that experience that, especially as a freshman. However, just the journey that Daniel Kaelin has kind of gone on through the commitment to Missouri, through the decommitment after Dylan Raiola committed initially to Georgia, and then he quickly flips to, from Missouri to Nebraska. And then lo and behold, it looked like Daniel Kaelin, who was an Elite 11 finalist with Dylan Raiola, it looked like they both were, that Daniel Kaelin was going to be the face of the quarterback room as in terms of freshmen speaking this season. And then lo and behold, the week before signing day, just a couple of days before, Dylan Raiola makes the big decision to flip. Just a very unique journey for Daniel Kaelin. But every time he's gotten in front of the media, and I guess, this is what he has to do, he's been pretty professional about his whole situation.
He really has. Then people will attribute that characteristic to Dylan Raiola, right? Oh, his NFL upbringing. Oh, the locker rooms he's been around. Oh, the hype he gets. But Daniel Kaelin, of the three quarterbacks that talked today, was probably my favorite to hear from.
I would agree.
Because he has that little bit of underdog chip on his shoulder, but you can tell there's confidence the way he's carrying himself. There's coach speak. There's a lot of, I'm saying the right thing that I'm coached to say.
Yeah.
But Daniel Kaelin does a really good job of getting across some personality interesting little anecdotes, one or two little things that other quarterbacks just didn't offer.
Yeah.
Like he was asked about the training table, what that's been like. It's not just, oh, it's been good. Yeah, we appreciate the staff. It's, oh, it's awesome. It's so cool. The first night they made was really awesome salmon.
Mm-hmm.
Like little stuff like that, no, it doesn't mean a lot, but you get his personality. You get a little bit of the kind of wide-eyed excitement, like, holy cow, I'm the quarterback at Nebraska.
Yeah.
But he's professional in how he says it, how he approaches it. It doesn't sound like he's just happy to be there, happy-go-lucky. It sounds like he's grateful for the opportunity. He's been coached with what to say, but will also add a little detail and like he acts like a person, right? Not like a robot.
Which I think, a lot of times in spring and fall and probably even during the season, that's a lot of what you get. And that's just, how it is, unfortunately. But I thought Daniel Kaelin was really impressive on the podium today. Not that we expected him to be, bombing atomically, but I think at the end of the day, it's a very unique situation that he's in and that he has had to go through in just the last calendar year, in all honesty. And being a guy that's wanted to go to Nebraska his entire life. And yeah, Dylan Raiola is probably in the same boat there too, when it's all said and done. But one guy has quite a bit more hype around him, both regionally, locally, or excuse me, how do I say this? Locally, regionally, and then nationally as well.
And it makes sense given Dylan Raiola, but let's not forget Daniel Kaelin visiting Florida State, getting
That's
offers
correct.
from there, right? The picture of him at Lucas Oil Stadium with all
Michigan
these
State,
offers, Michigan
yep.
State, obviously Missouri, which means more now than it did when Daniel Kaelin was first
right.
offered. Daniel Kaelin's not some nobody, right? If he sits and wants to transfer out of the program eventually, he's going to be sought after.
Yes.
Not just because he went to Nebraska, but because he was a legit prospect in his own right. And there are very few guys that Nebraska could have brought in that would have diminished some of the hype that getting and keeping an in-state product quarterback would have, diminished the hype for. And Dylan Raiola is one of the handful.
So part of this with quarterbacks is the wide receivers. Here's Glenn Thomas talking about the wideouts here earlier today.
Yeah, I think probably more important than I'm confident. I think the quarterbacks are confident. I think there's a nice group of, particularly even with depth at all positions. So I think that's what I'm excited about more than anything is our quarterbacks are confident in the guys that they have out there, whether it be a one-on-one matchup or maybe the number 2 receiver here. I don't think there's any hesitation to, hey, let's go let that guy make a play.
I think, here's the thing. It might not have gone unnoticed or under the radar when Marcus Satterfield talked about it the other day, where it's like, hey, if you can't hold on to the ball, if you cough it up, if you don't do what you're supposed to, do your job, you're not going to play. I don't know if that necessarily went unnoticed, but I also think, yeah, you know what? That's kind of refreshing for a coach at Nebraska to say, because that maybe has been what coaches have wanted it to be in the past, haven't had the luxury of having it.
That part. I don't think the coaches didn't believe turnovers weren't important last year. I just think there's only so much they could do.
Yeah.
You didn't even have a, Rex Burkhead Wildcat type of package available to you to do. So the coaches tried to make the best of the messy situation that they had last year, and it never got better with any of the options they tried.
You're right.
That doesn't mean they didn't care about turnovers last year. It just means, hey, this year, not only are we going to pay the same lip service to it that we did last year, but we feel like we can actually do something about it if they do pop up again.
There can actually be consequences,
Yes.
right? Without throwing the opportunity and potential for you to go win a football game out the window. That was that was what was so difficult, I think, maybe about the conversations surrounding Heinrich Haarberg and basically the quarterbacks was, they've had so much confidence in Jeff Sims, which maybe is an evaluation weakness on their part, or maybe they put trust and belief in the wrong guy that told him that Jeff Sims was going to be an NFL type of guy. Whatever it may be, and whatever reason you want to chalk it up to, when it's all said and done, I think the conversations around Jeff Sims and then Heinrich Haarberg and Chubba Purdy last year, it wasn't the fact of, yeah, you know what? They probably deserve to be taken out, or they deserve to not play for a quarter, or whatever it may be, whatever the rightful quote unquote punishment is, consequence,
ramification.
Yeah. For not being able to play successfully and play up to the Nebraska standard that they talk so much about. But after all, did you really feel great about wide receiver 7 instead of wide receiver 4? I just like, that's where I'm kind of getting at, to where they had to, yes, address the turnover issue, rightfully so. And that was very important and very putrid last year. However, it wasn't as easy as it might be this year to say, yeah, guy behind him, you're in. hop in. You're in. Take a seat. Because I don't think they had the depth. They didn't have the belief in some of the guys last year.
At a number of positions, right? Quarterback, receiver, like you said.
Yeah.
Obviously not running back either. I mean, we talk about the wide receiver and the youth getting thrown into the fire. Emmett Johnson was 4th on the depth chart.
You're right.
Emmett Johnson wasn't expected to see the field outside of mop-up duty last year. You got down to Emmett Johnson, Joshua Fleeks, and Quentin Ives in case of emergency at running back.
Yeah.
The only positions that didn't really face depth questions were tight end and offensive line. Every other position on offense was kind of trial by fire, especially from about mid-October on.
Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll dive into Mike Trout in his situation right now with the Los Angeles Angels, because unfortunately his season is done and he hasn't played a whole lot of games. We talk about availability and that's sometimes some of the guys' best traits. Mike Trout struggled to stay healthy these last couple of years, and it builds off a conversation that we had earlier in the week surrounding Bobby Witt Jr. and the Kansas City Royals, both from an organization standpoint and from an athlete standpoint. So we'll do that when we wrap up the show coming up next and get you ready for On the Block with Strick and Austin on a Friday right here on 93.7 The Ticket.
Download our app by searching 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day long wherever you are. More of the happy hour is next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hey, neighbor.
Nate, there's a fully inflated hot air balloon in your backyard.
I know. Isn't it great?
But why? You can't keep it there. The homeowners association will go crazy.
Oh, I'm not going to keep it up there. I'm going to fly it over the Nebraska football game on Saturday to get the best seat in the house.
Nate, you don't have to do that. Just enter the Nebraska Lottery's Lotto America Ticket Snap promotion. Until August 5th, buy a Lotto America ticket with the All-Star bonus and enter the voucher number online for a chance to win Nebraska football Skybox season tickets, an incredible football and volleyball weekend experience, or regular football season tickets.
Well, that is a better way to get a great view.
Yeah, one other question. Why is the balloon in the shape of a giant volleyball? You were going to fly over a football game.
It's the only decent thing the rental place had left. It was either this, a hockey puck, a banana, or a giant poodle. Even I have my standards.
Lotto America top prize odds, 1 in 26 million.
Come enjoy a show of the Midwest's best MMA on Saturday, August 10th at the Complex, the former location of Champions Fun Center. 9 fights are scheduled for the night, including professional lightweight and welterweight bouts, and the main event of Donnie Bush versus Micah Washington in the professional welterweight championship bout. Doors open at 6 p.m. with first bout at 7 p.m. Learn more about the MMA fighters and buy tickets at thecomplexlincoln.com.
Does it seem like your clothes dryer doesn't dry like it used to? It may not be your dryer. It may be your dryer vent. When the vent becomes obstructed, it drastically reduces the efficiency of your dryer. Even worse, it can be a fire hazard. Here's the simple solution. Call Bryant. Bryant will thoroughly clean the vent and show you the before and after results. Call 467-1111. Keep your dryer operating efficiently and your home safe. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. We do whatever it takes.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
HealthLink is elevating the human experience with holistic health, weight loss, nutrition, fitness, and wellness solutions. They offer one-on-one health coaching while personalizing nutrition and wellness plans for structure and simplicity. HealthLink provides nutritious foods such as high-protein entrees, meal replacement snacks, and supplements. But that's not all. If you mention 93.7 The Ticket, you'll get a 5% discount on your order and $20 off your first month if you start a HealthLink subscription. Find your missing link with HealthLink today on the southeast corner of 70th and Pioneers or by phone at 402-858-9356.
Play ball! Tired of the same old routine? Then bring your crew out to Haymarket Park for a thrilling season of Lincoln Salt Dogs baseball and unleash the fun. Enjoy action-packed home games all week long from May through August. It's the perfect change-up to the typical family night or makes for a home run outing with friends and coworkers. Experience the magic and get in on the excitement. Visit saltdogs.com to secure your tickets now. Unleash the fun.
Everyone should have a collection of something. For some, it's stamps or coins, expensive cars, or even watches. But for a lot of people, it's sports cards. And there's no better way to grow your collection than with the help of Capital City Sports Cards, Lincoln's first and only collector-first sports cards and memorabilia shop. Capital City Sports Cards connects collectors of all ages and demographics with unique collectibles sure to bring any collection to life, no matter the budget. Visit Capital City Sports Cards near 56th and Old Cheney or through their eBay storefront. Capital City Sports Cards, Lincoln's premier sports card and memorabilia store.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait. Apply now.
Rain, snow, or shine, John Henry's is here to keep your home's plumbing systems working properly no matter what kind of weather Nebraska throws at us. From unclogging toilets and drains to installing new water heaters and water treatment systems, John Henry's is your plumbing expert in the Lincoln and Omaha communities. Visit us at calljh.com or call
John Henry's.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air,
and Electrical.
There's nothing quite like the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese beef. The Mercado offers unique ingredients you can't find anywhere else, open every day from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The full-service butcher shop and retail store is wonderful for meat lovers with their exclusive certified Piedmontese beef and assorted sausages, plus other quality meats, including pork, chicken, and a wide range of the freshest seafood. Plus, every Friday from 11 to 2, the Mercado serves up the best lunch in town on their Friday Feast menu. Stop in at the Mercado today at 84th and Havelock or visit their website at cpmercado.com to see current deals.
Whether you like fishing together or fishing to get away, for the thrill of reeling in a big one, or just going out to have a good time, on the banks of your local pond, at a bend in a river, or on one of our many lakes and reservoirs, you'll always find the perfect place to cast a line, here, beneath Nebraska skies. Start planning your next fishing adventure today at letsfishnebraska.com. Sponsored by Nebraska Game and Parks, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Last year, Linked Literacy's first annual Word Stock event welcomed 600 people to this community-wide book swap at Antelope Park. It was made possible by the generosity of our donors. Donations are needed for this year's event on August 24th to provide food trucks, table rentals, book bags, and more. This allows us to offer free books to the public for both kids and adults while enjoying all the fun and festivities to promote community connections. Give today by going to linktoliteracy.org. You'll be making an impact through the power of literacy.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. You're listening to the Happy Hour with Nick Sainert.
Look at him and tell me there's a God.
And Enrique Alvarez Clary. Sponsored by Empire Fence and Netting on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back in one final time on a Friday. Nick Sainert, Austin Orman with you. Let's how about this? Can we bring in good old E Stricky?
Oh, Stricky on? Hey, Stricky.
He's supposed to be on. He says he can't hear the broadcast though. It might just be because his mic is muted there. His mic
is our tab muted?
He can't hear it. No, it's not. It's not. I'll even try to unmute it again. See, I'm guessing his headphones weren't on.
Come on, Stricky, you're better than that. You're smarter than that, Stricky. Come on.
No, he still does. He still looks like he's a little confused by it. But either way, 402-464-5685, the Honda Lincoln hotline and the Starter Heyman text line are both open. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Austin, if he can't hear, it's his end, because once you get in, you just automatically hear it anyway. It's just a matter of whether or not the people can hear him.
Check your settings, Stricky.
He just disconnected. He'll probably try to reconnect here in a second. Anyway, 464-5685, the Honda Lincoln hotline and the Starter Heyman text line are both open. Let's try it. Stricky, we can hear you, but you can't hear us. It's got to be one of your settings there, Stricky. Apologize for that. Anyway, we'll get out of here relatively quickly. Maybe we can table this conversation up until Monday. But Mike Trout, torn meniscus again. He's going to be done for the year. I read a statistic where over the last 4 years, he's been available 41% of the time.
Well, he's played 41 games in the second half of the MLB season in the last 5 years.
Yeesh.
That's crazy. You play, 65-ish games after the All-Star break over 5 years. So 41 out of 320, 330 games he's been available for, which, to be fair, is tamped down by the Angels' lack of success in postseason too. But I'm just sad. I'm just bummed. I feel like I did something to deserve this. Mike Trout and Andrew Luck were two of my favorite athletes. They were lighting the world on fire 2014, 2015, 2016.
Yeah.
And I don't know what I did to make them both, get permanently injured and have to. I know Mike Trout hasn't retired yet, but this is a guy that wasn't just, on pace or wasn't thought of as going to be one of the greats because of potential. He was producing like an all-time great.
Consistent,
and I think guys like you and me, Nick, and when we look back in 20, 30 years, we're going to tell our kids that, hey, this dude was the greatest baseball player we ever saw. Injuries got him. We're going to talk about him the same way people talk about Barry Bonds. Best player to ever walk the face of the earth. Ken Griffey, Babe Ruth, guys like that. Mike Trout is still going to be in those conversations. And I hate so much that his legacy is going to be tarnished by injuries, because instead of saying, hey, he tried so hard to come back for injuries, it's always going to be, he was so injured, right? We're going to ding him for being injured instead of say, hey, he gave it a legitimate effort to try and come back all these times. It just didn't work.
Well, and what's interesting, I mean, you look at the 2010s Mike Trout, and I know there's going to be a lot of people that are in a disagreement, maybe people that are a little bit older than us, Austin, in disagreement about how good Mike Trout was. I think it's hard to, right? You look at the 2010s from 2011 to 2019, 8-time All-Star, finished top 5 in MVP voting every single year, was Rookie of the Year in 2012, was a Silver Slugger in 7 of those 8 years. I mean, so think about that, though. Well, it was a 3-time MVP, finished 2nd in MVP voting, 4 times finished 4th. In 2017, that was his lowest finish in the MVP voting, all from between 2011 and 2019. These are numbers that are truly remarkable. Led majors in stolen bases back in 2012 with 49, had a 326 batting average, 323, 315, 306, 312. You're talking about having, when you look at home run numbers, 30, 36, 41, 33, 39, 45. Over 100 RBIs in 4 of those seasons. Consistent production.
Across the board, 6'5", 240, playing center field. And maybe that's part of what led to these injuries, right? If he would have moved to a corner outfield or even, first base, it would have been a waste of his athletic talent, but maybe it keeps him healthier. And this is where, especially if you look from 2015 on, I had an irrational just displeasure and distaste for Bryce Harper, because people were seriously putting Bryce Harper and Mike Trout in the same conversation. And kids that don't know just how good Mike Trout was for so long, this is no disrespect to Bryce Harper, great baseball player, Hall of Famer. Mike Trout blows him out of the water. If you look at the numbers, right? I get it. Bryce has the postseason moments. Mike Trout has everything else over him. Even Mookie Betts, right? I've come around on both these guys. I love me some Bryce Harper, love me some Mookie Betts now. Mookie Betts at his peak was probably as good as Mike Trout. Mookie didn't do it as well as long as Mike Trout did. And there were conversations about, is Mookie Betts overtaking Mike Trout as the best player in baseball? No, he never did. The only guy that's passed Mike Trout in terms of best player in baseball, most well-rounded player in baseball, was the guy who was his teammate, Shohei Ohtani.
You're right.
And it took Shohei playing 2 ways to pass Mike Trout for the best player in baseball. Let's not trip on just how good Mike Trout has been.
So, here's this piece of it also, just more statistics, because the numbers that I just kind of read off and rattled off were in the 2010s, right? So prime Mike Trout in the earlier stages of his career.
Well,
so
that's even pre-prime. You're supposed to start your prime at 27.
However, so these are numbers that are between 2021 and 2024. He only, and this goes back to the availability piece, averaged 66.5 games played per season, which is in a large number, 266 of 648 possible games. So it wasn't available, right? However, in the games that he did play, Mike Trout held a .951 on base plus slugging percentage, hit 76 total home runs, which if you average that out to 162 games in a season, you're talking about 46 home runs per season. That is top of the league. And that is even post prime Mike Trout.
Injured Mike Trout is OPS plus of 161. Like when Mike Trout is on the field, he is just as effective as he has ever been.
Right.
Not like prime, like you said, 2013, 14, 15 Mike Trout, but still a substantially above average all-star silver slugger caliber player when he's on the field. I mean, even in the 29 games he played this year, had an OPS plus of 136 for a slow starter. I mean, the power was there. He had 10 home runs in 29 games. You pace that out, he's hitting 50 bombs.
Yeah.
If he stays healthy, but here we go again.
So here's what's interesting, and I want to make sure. Yeah. So Aaron Judge and Mike Trout, and this is what's even more remarkable. Aaron Judge and Mike Trout are the same exact age, 32 years old. You put their statistics side by side, and yes, Judge got to the league maybe a little bit later.
But that's another point for Trout.
Another point for Trout. Mike Trout's played in over 1,500 games. Aaron Judge in less than 950 in his career. You're talking about over 6,600 plate appearances, over 1,600 hits, basically double the amount of hits in his career that Mike Trout has over Aaron Judge. Has almost 80 home runs, 80 more home runs in his career than Aaron Judge does. Has over 300 more RBI than Aaron Judge does. Is a career better hitter by 14 points over Aaron Judge. Mike Trout's almost is 0.001% away from being a 300 hitter on his career.
If he had like 5 more hits, he'd be a 300 career hitter.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And so Mike Trout, 11-time All-Star, 3-time MVP, 9-time Silver Slugger. Certainly a shoe-in for the Hall of Fame when that time does come. And so is Aaron Judge. Like, don't get me wrong. I think it's just important to put into perspective on how good Mike Trout is.
And it's unfortunate that we lost 5 or 6 years of prime Mike Trout because he would have been my GOAT.
Yeah.
I can't make that argument anymore.
Nope.
It's sad.
Nope, can't make the argument. All right, Austin, what's coming up on the show today?
We are going to have a good show. Stricky's remote, if you missed that, so we'll get him connected. Officially, welcome for new Big Ten schools.
That's right.
You're here, new graphic, new commercial, and everything is out. Who are we glad got invited? Who could we do without? Who are you excited to see and not? Predicting Victor Wembanyama's future. How many MVPs, Olympic gold medals, that sort of thing does he win? ESPN puts something out. We'll go through it. How many upsets would it take for Nebraska football to make the college football playoff? And then other teams by how many mulligans they have, how many upsets they need to pull, and who had the best career of any NFL Hall of Famer in this year's class.
There you have it. All that and more coming up on the block with Strick and Austin. Appreciate Austin filling in all week long for Rico. He will return on Monday. Maybe we'll continue this conversation about Mike Trout from an organizational standpoint on Monday on the crossover. But that'll do it for us. Enjoy your weekend. We will talk to you on the happy hour on Monday. On the block with Strick and Austin is coming up next.
Get ready, Husker fans. The Big Red Preview is coming soon. Join us Saturday night, August 3rd.